Right,
But speaking of some good fun, we have with us Harrison Dillard. Welcome to the show, who is the only man to win Olympic gold medals in both the sprints and the high hurdles. Won four gold medals.
Them, right. It's so good you be here today. From Cleveland, too.
Right. We're going to talk about all that. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So now, where did we start? Let's go back. Let's go way back, way back. You're from Cleveland. From what area? What part of town?
I was born where the main post office is, where it sits now around Orange Avenue and 30th Street.
Yes.
I was born about a quarter mile east of there, 31st and Orange Avenue.
And
at home. Back then, you were born at home. Not in a hospital.
Not a hospital.
That's right. That's right. At home.
Midwife came by. How you doing?
That's
you have a baby?
That's right. All right. that's how they did it back then.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your days in the Olympics. And first of all, how did you get started? Did you always know growing up, I want to be in the Olympics?
I know how he got started because he ran track at East Tech High School. He had to.
Right. But even before then,
but long before then, I ran what was called Playground Olympics up at Woolridge School. That's at East 62nd and Kinsman. And that's where I won my first ribbons.
Wow.
Now, of course, Jesse Owens was at East Tech. He graduated 1933, I believe, went down to Ohio State. And of course, in 1936, he went to the Berlin, Germany Olympic Games, where he threw that lie of racial superiority back in Hitler's face by winning 4 gold medals. And of course, when he came back home, well, he was our idol, which is, quite understandable. And I'll never forget, they had a parade for him here. It started downtown and came out the east side. And it came up Central Avenue. And a group of my little buddies and I was 13 years old at the time. We got permission from our parents to go over and see the great Jesse Owens. And when this car drove down Central Avenue, or up Central Avenue, and we were standing right at curbside, and Jesse looked at us and winked and said, "Hi, kids, how are you?" Well, of course, that's the greatest thing in the world. He'd actually spoken.
He didn't speak to you. He spoke to me.
So I remember running back home, and I almost took the screen door off the hinges. Mama, I just saw Jesse Owens, and I'm going to be just like him. And of course, she said, "Yes, son, I'm sure you will be." But I think that's when the dream probably began. And I was in junior high school at Kennard at that particular time, and I went on to East Tech High School, the same school that Jesse attended, well, when he lived here in Cleveland, and had great success in high school.
Now, were you able to beat any of his records in high school?
No. But, well, because I wasn't running the same exact events he was running, for one thing. I was running hurdles, he was running sprints and long jumping. But I did as a 12th grader at East Tech. I went undefeated my senior year. And I had a chance then to go to Baldwin Wallace College. There's a little story there, too, if we got time. Baldwin Wallace, of course, is right here in Berea, 25 miles from downtown Cleveland. I, with Jesse being my idol, had thought, well, I'll go to Ohio State, too, where my idol had gone. But when the time came and I really had a chance to think about it, 140 miles to Columbus, that's a little too far
from home,
I think I'll go to Baldwin Wallace.
Okay.
Stay close by, huh?
Yeah.
So now, what was it like? Now, the Olympics, this was in 1948.
Yeah.
Where were we at? We were
London.
London, okay. What was it like when you first just entered the arena and they introduced all the Olympians and all the athletes and everything? What was going through your mind just to look up and see all these people and here's here's a young man from Cleveland, Ohio?
Well, it's a funny thing actually. As we see on television now, you see all the athletes march into the stadium. I didn't march in because we were going to run the very next day. So the coaches excused us and said, if you want to, sit in the stands or do something like that. But they didn't want to have us out walking around the track at that particular time. But when I did the next day, when you go into that stadium there, Wembley Stadium, it's now a dog racing track, but anyway, it held about 80,000 people, and it was chock full. And when 80,000 people, you know, cheer or jeer or whatever they do, you're very much aware of it. And on that day, I ran my qualifying heats and qualified, won all my heats, my 2 heats. And the next day came back, won a 3rd heat, and ran the final heat. And in that race, nowadays they have 8 finalists. Back then they only have 6.
Mm-hmm.
So I drew, unfortunately, some people thought, the lane immediately right up against the stands. Now this was going to be the first time that they'd ever used the photoelectrical timing system in a sporting event there
we're going to use
in
cameras
London.
this time.
So we can really see.
Now the camera, every athlete, you know, is on camera.
Mm-hmm.
They can really tell where you finish. But then this was the first time they'd used it. So I said, I had that lane up against the stands. And when you don't have that photoelectrical timing system, the judges are up a little higher and they look down. You can get overlooked here and here by those judges. But fortunately, in that race, I won it by the narrowest of margins over a teammate, Barney Ewell from Penn State. And one more little interesting story there. There's a fellow from Panama, Lloyd LeBeach, who was in that race. And he was in between Barney and me. And when the race was over, Barney thought he'd won. And Barney jumped up and down, congratulating himself and, you know, celebrating. And LeBeach from Panama said, no, man, you don't win, Bones win. And so
I just set that straight.
Bones.
That's right.
Bones.
The nick, right.
That was my nickname that I'd had all my life.
We want to let everyone know that Bones actually had set some world records. World record 120-yard hurdles at 13.6 in April 17, 1948, and an Olympic record of 100 meters and 10.30 seconds on July 31st, 1948. So Bones, you got some records right here.
He's the man. I have to ask him, you know, over the years, I noticed you got on, it looks like his track shoes right there. The
Them some
nice
nice ones.
black,
You
white,
see those
sparkling shoes there.
Like you about to take a run
I'm
right
just
now.
wondering, have you gotten involved in maybe the Senior Olympics? Are you still involved in any way with interesting children or students in track and field?
I'm not directly involved, but I've spoken probably at hundreds of schools over, you know, the last 50, 60 years. All over, certainly all over Cleveland and in many other parts of the country as well.
So now, I know you've worked for the Cleveland Indians at some time as
10 years.
For a scout or recruiter in public relations. You've also done some work at WERE, talk radio. So what are you doing now?
Nothing.
You're just retired.
I'm retired.
You're probably entitled to do just
I
that.
retired
too.
in 1993. I had worked 27 years with the Cleveland Board of Education.
Okay.
I retired as the business department chief. So I'm now doing what I like to do.
And when
Sit
you
in a
want to do
chair.
it, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's nice to
I
have that
think this
option.
is great. Again, this
Yeah.
is William Dillard, who is a 4 Olympic gold medal. I wish you had brought the medals. You don't bring them back next time. So bring them back next time. Again, the only male to win both Olympic titles in both sprinting and hurling. Thank you, Mr. Dillard, for allowing us to take another look at what you have done. I think it's just phenomenal.
Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you.
Hey, right after the commercial break, we're going to be talking, Stephanie and Nicole, we're going to be with Mark Lyons from J Honda.
Honda.
So don't touch that dial.